think outside the box, if you will. I mean, go there, go off campus. Let's think this through. And sure enough, that's where the Mustang was born. When it finally hit, it took the country by storm.
Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of Cars in Context. I'm your host, John Clor. You know, this is the Motor City, and this is the show where we put cars into the context of your everyday life. We'd like to impart some experience and knowledge to you, but we will make no apologies for our decidedly Detroit perspective. Today's show will be a fun one, we hope, for you. You know, a lot of things have been coming up missing on our cars. Some of you guys that are getting new cars will find out your spare tire is no longer there. They don't put spares in your car anymore. Some people are saying they don't have an owner's manual. It's on their screen, on their touch screen in their car. And now we're finding out a very important part of your car is going to be coming up missing. And to talk about it today, we have Joe Babiasz. Joe, welcome to Cars in Context again.
Hi, John.
Joe, it's great to have you here. I know it's one of these topics where it's crazy. So today's, I mean, when I sent you the topic for today and we talked about it, you said, John, is the show really about, hey, where's my dipstick? The answer is yes, and we're going to get into that crazy thing that the car companies are doing under the hood of our cars. But before we do that, Joe, let's talk a little bit about what's in the news.
Okay.
All right, you know, there's some great news we hear every once in a while about states getting together that want to do great things for people. But, you know, some states are trying to mandate what we should be doing with our cars. And again, we have 8 states. Usually these states are in the smile states, you know, along the coastal areas of the United States. But 8 states in an effort to spur the sales of electric cars, because, you know, they haven't really taken the world over. There's still a niche market. No matter what we do with hybrids and electrics, they're not taken off the way the hopefuls thought they would take off. And they also want to help push zero-emission vehicles, whether they're hybrids or whatever. These 8 states all got together, the governors, and they all met up, and they signed a memorandum of understanding.
Interesting.
Yeah, and you know what the understanding is? They all agree that the 8 states will band together to help create the infrastructure needed for these types of vehicles, whether if it's electric charging stations or flex fuel stations, whatever the infrastructure is needed. These governors all said that they will band together and work together to help formulate this needed infrastructure to push these vehicles. But here's the problem. The agreement, there's no budget.
Oh.
Yeah,
so
there's no money.
Without any money, what will we get?
You're going to get guys shaking up and down, yeah, we got to do this.
Or let's say, hey, we have an agreement, but we can't implement it.
So the 3.3 million zero-emission cars they want on the road by, I don't know, 2025, yeah, we want it, but we can't pay for it.
It's a pretty similar thing they always go, I want it, so therefore it has to happen. And
It's
it doesn't necessarily work that way. Not in the real world.
Folks, I want a lot of stuff, but I can't pay for it. So join the crowd. Now, just in case you want to know who you are out there, these crazy governors, California, New York, Massachusetts, Maryland, Oregon, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Vermont.
Interesting.
Wow. How about you, Joe? You have one for me?
I do. GM urges dealers to set up customer tech centers. According to a report in the Detroit News, General Motors is asking each of its 4,300 dealers to establish a customer connection center.
Really?
Similar to Apple's Genius Bar, a place that, by the way, I never go to. Genius Bar, you won't see me in that.
Wait, when you buy it, you need a Genius to figure out your Apple phone, your iPhone.
Well, what they're doing is, you know, where customers can learn more about the in-car technology and infotainment system.
Well, you just tell the salesman tell you that, right?
Yeah, you're not going to have a salesman tell you that. The salesman, many of the salesmen, while some of them do a very good job, many of them have no clue how to use a lot of the
Plus,
technology.
their job is, I mean, they
sell
make,
cars.
they make no money wasting another hour talking to you on how to use all the stuff. They're actually
They want to move product, so what the GM wants to do is set up a separate group or spot in the dealership where that you can learn. And it really, when you think about it, is a good idea. There is so much technology in today's cars that it's not something you just jump in and turn your radio dial on.
Yeah, in the good old days, see, folks, we're losing it. There's so much tech. I mean, when you go to these,
well, you don't have a radio dial anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you knew where everything was. This was always the wiper. That was always the radio. Nowadays, you got to have a
PhD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that make General Motors. That's a great idea. You probably do need a special class.
I'd go to the bar part of the Genius Bar.
I don't think that's what they're talking about.
Oh, okay.
I think so. I've got one here. A lot of people think about, you know, the auto industry is making a great rebound, and we know we're all building cars in China, and you know, there's places in the world where cars are really taking off, and we're really happy to report that the United States is actually making a profit here in North America with cars.
Which is great.
Which one secret that other people aren't talking about is that one of the hottest places in the world for the auto industry is Mexico. Mexico, in the Mexican auto industry, is now the focus of so many automakers looking to invest 10 billion US dollars in Mexico in the next few years to make car factories and auto parts factories in Mexico. And these are the kind of manufacturers: Toyota, Volkswagen, Honda, Mazda, BMW, Daimler, and Nissan are all looking into investing billions of dollars in the Mexican industry. Analysts say that Mexico is turning into what they call China of the West.
I am glad to see that GM and Ford are not listed here, which is a good thing, because
Yeah.
perhaps just maybe they might build some plants in
Well,
America.
you know, we've
in the
actually,
US.
some of the plant. I know Ford moved production of the Fusion from Hermosillo, Mexico, up to
That's right.
Flat Rock. So they're saying, it's a NAFTA agreement. It's they're in
Back and forth.
pretty much interchangeable. So hopefully, bring that work back to us. Joe, why don't you give us
Great.
some?
Okay. GM may advertise inside its cars. Oh
Where?
boy, inside the car. Starting next year, GM will offer internet access in some of its vehicles to allow passengers in the back seat to stream videos to watch. Great. But GM CEO Dan Akerson also sees this as an opportunity to start selling advertising in your car. For example, a logo that shows up on your screen could say, brought to you by 1-800-CALL-SAM or something like that. Unless there's something in it for the car buyer, I don't think anybody, I certainly wouldn't want to have this.
Well, wait a minute. So you buy the infotainment system, and so when you turn on the little TV screen, an ad comes up?
An ad can come up. And they could sell ads to someone. They could also pitch GM products. I mean, there could be some good that comes out of that. However, when if I have an information system and I want to watch something in my car, I want to watch a movie or I want to watch something, I don't want to see a commercial.
Yeah, ads popping up. I mean, I can't even get on Facebook anymore because of the ads popping up. When I go to read a story on Yahoo and an ad pops up, wait 15 seconds till the ad goes away before you can read it. Come on.
Exactly. Well, it's
Now,
just like cable when it first came out. It was supposed to be
ad
ad-free,
free.
and now
you
it's
pay
not.
us so we won't have to. You won't have
pay
to
you
advertising.
so we watch more
now we pay them
commercials.
and get the advertising.
Yeah.
I think the only way it would work. What if you were a limousine service or a taxi, and then you could watch like
Could
at the
work.
gas pumps when you watch the little TV at the gas pump? Maybe there, but otherwise, I don't want to be.
Or they gave you a discount on the car if you would accept it. Okay, little give back.
Yeah, we remember.
Just
what,
a thought.
Like
It's
you
not
said,
going to happen, but
you remember what they did about cable, so I remember that too. Yeah. Okay. So listen. Now here's when we talk about auto industries overseas, and we've talked about all the concessions we as Americans have made in our wages and our givebacks. Not just our health care, but the cash that we take home. What if I were to tell you, Joe, that wages in the Chinese manufacturing industry, especially in the auto industry, but manufacturing in China, where we think everything is just nothing, it doubled. Wages doubled between 2002 and 2008. Not fractionally, they doubled in that time.
in 6
Now,
years.
you might think that, boy, they're just rolling in cash over there, right? Well, guess what? Wages in the U.S. at the same time only increased 20%. So while they doubled their money, we went up 20% in that same time frame. But even so, the average Chinese auto worker today makes $2.18 an hour. I remember when I got one of my first jobs out of college, I was going to Wayne State, working up at Eastland, selling women's shoes at Baker Eastland, and I was making $1.65 an hour. So they were beating me.
In 1968, I started on the assembly line of GM making $3.24 an hour.
In 1968. Yeah.
Making more than the Chinese are making today.
And
in
we
the
still
same
make better,
factories.
cleaner toothpaste, dog treats, and
Everything
drywall.
better.
But thank you.
That's
So
right.
no, we'll. I'll tell you what, folks. They got a little ways to go, but you know, we still America is still the manufacturing.
On the plus side, the higher their wages are, the more things they can buy from us.
Okay, and
So that's a good thing. Hopefully they will.
Yeah, not without
Don't
tariffs.
know, but they
We're
might.
going to come back. We're going to talk about the things that are missing in your car. And I'm not talking about the spare, but now, where is my dipstick? We'll talk about that.
And I've got another one that's going to go away maybe.
We'll talk about that in just a
about
second. See you when you come back. Hi, and welcome back to Cars in Context. I'm your host, John Clor. Today we're talking about things that go missing in your car, and especially today, where is my dipstick? Joe Babiasz is here, our favorite auto expert and analyst.
Hey, John.
Joe,
Good to
I
see you.
know, I appreciate you coming in and talking about this because I know we've been talking about things that have been going out of the cars. We have to save weight in the cars. You know, I got to save some weight. Our cars need to save weight. So they're taking out things like spare tires and giving you an inflator. They're taking out even the owner's manuals going out. Things are taking, and now we understand that a few people have tipped us off, a few owners who had some cars that some are not even in the market anymore, but some who are still in the market have warned us that things we expect, remember we did with Joe Babiasz, Underhood 101? If you didn't catch that show, it's still on Cars in Context TV on YouTube. You walked us under the hood and you told us to check the oil and all the fluid levels, and when we had an automatic, to check the automatic transmission by warming up the engine and pulling the dipstick out and reading the dipstick to make sure that those fluid levels were up to snuff, because if they're not, an automatic transmission repair is probably the scariest, most expensive part to fail.
$3,000 to $4,000 at least.
Yeah, so it's important to make sure that baby has the right fluid and it's clean, it's not
Harder
burnt.
to do that
So now,
today.
Joe, what is this? Is it a rumor that manufacturers are actually eliminating the automatic? Is this true or is it rumor?
They are. Some of them are. Chrysler, as an example, has eliminated it. At first, they had a dipstick with a cap in it, and then
So they have the tube there.
They have the tube,
So
but
where the
they have a
dipstick goes
cap,
in there, they sealed
and
it
so that
off.
when you open your hood to check your trans fluid, there's nothing to check. It's a sealed system that they say is lifetime sealed.
Oh, lifetime? Okay, well,
However, you do have to have maintenance on it on occasion. It does say, I think Chrysler was saying in their 300s, 120,000 miles,
Well-
you change your fluid, you got to bring it back, but you never know if your fluid is low.
so wait a minute. So we're talking about when you did Underhood 101 and you raised the hood, so you would find, you know where the oil goes and the oil dipstick, you would find the transmission dipstick or the tube.
The tube.
And there's nothing.
There's just a plug in it.
So say you have a pan leak. How do you know when it's down in fluid?
Well, if you know you have a pan leak, you have to go to your dealer and spend the money for them to repair it and use their systems to fill the trans fluid, which used to be through the tube. Now, in many cases, it's from underneath the car on the side of the transmission. They have a hole, a plug that you can unplug.
So I buy. So
And-
let's say I buy this, what, a Chrysler 200 or something, and I say, well, I don't have a dipstick. I want to do the maintenance. A lot of times, I'll crawl into my car and do the maintenance myself. So if I want to check the transmission fluid, and I don't have a dipstick, so now you're telling me, Joe, I got to roll under my car, take that little. There's a plug on the side of the transmission, usually a drain, and I've got to take that out and
Stick your finger in there.
see if there's fluid in it. What if I take it out? In most cars, when you take that out, it comes out.
Well, in some cases, they say if it comes out, you have enough fluid. Well, if it's coming out, you pretty soon will not have enough. You need to get that plug back in there
Yeah, but
real quick.
that's my point.
Exactly, and if it's low, then you have to have a special tool to get
hold it out
into
while
the-
it's.
yeah, while it's coming out and pouring on the ground and pouring on you, to say yes. But the other thing is, with the old system, you could also smell transmission fluid for problems.
Yeah, you told
It's
us, and I
dirty.
looked at it. And
If it's
brown.
if it's brown and you can smell like it's a burning,
Uh-huh.
then you say, gee, I think I might have I'm having a problem with my trans every once in a while.
By looking at the fluid.
Well, you can't do that anymore. I can't stick my nose down there and smell it. So now I don't know how much fluid's in there. I don't know the quality of the fluid.
If there's any,
I don't know
if
if I'm
it's
having
brown.
a trans problem,
Wow.
and I also can't fill it.
So why don't you give us the reason why an engineer or an auto company would say, for these 200,000 cars we're going to build, we're going to just seal up the dipstick? Because what's the
Well,
real? What do they give you as their reasoning?
Well,
for that?
I'll give you my opinion on what the reason is, and it's purely money. It's a money issue that they save money. They don't have to design a dipstick and a dipstick tube.
Okay.
They don't have to pay a factory worker to install that dipstick.
Okay.
They don't have to provide that dipstick in the service parts catalog and provide for service. And they save a little bit of weight in some cases. I mean, minuscule.
So this
So
part's
just-
like $4,
it's-
$5, $6, and the tube is another couple of bucks. So you have $10. But you're saying because if you make 300,000 cars and $10 a car.
Well, I mean, they'll kill for 10 cents a car. I mean, listen, I've been in meetings where, listen, we need to get 10 cents out of the car. And if they look at something and they can save $1 or $2 times 300,000 cars a year, plus service parts, plus all the other peripheral things, they love that.
Wow.
So,
folks,
you would say, follow the money.
There we go.
That's
How
what
many
it is.
times have we
Follow the
told you on
money.
Cars in Context, to follow the money. So if you follow Joe at Underhood 101 on Cars and Context TV on YouTube, and you were watching him and you saw him find the transmission dipstick, pull it out, and he'd say, look, you make sure that it's this color, that it's not burned, if it doesn't smell burned, if it's down, you know, you have to have that engine running. You've got to check the
Warm it
manual.
up, sure.
But now, Joe, if a sealed for life transmission life is what they say, 150,000 miles?
That's a good question.
How many of you folks out there have a car with 150,000 miles or more on your car? I'd say we are now at a record in the United States for keeping our cars the longest in history.
Absolutely.
11 point
11
some
and a half
years.
years.
So I know a lot of you have over 200,000, possibly 300,000 miles, maybe more. And you're telling me that's sealed for life, or is it not?
Well, it is sealed for life, according to the manufacturer. And what's life to them? I mean, again, there is no set. This is life. It's over. But again, you brought up the really interesting point. A lot of us years ago used to put our cars up in the air. You take the drain plug, you drain it out, you pour your new fluid in, you check off the box for the maintenance in the owner's manual. It's gone. Can't do it. And at $85 to $100 an hour for flat rate at dealers today. It's going to cost you a lot of money.
Not only that, folks, not only is the dealer labor going to be $100 an hour, but
The fluid will be $10 a quart.
These synthetic fluids, if they lose, 4, 5, 6 quarts, you're looking at $80, $90 just for the fluid. So it's a couple $100 for them to make this convenience for us. So we want you to make sure that you do watch Underhood 101 with Joe Babiasz on Cars and Context TV on YouTube, and to make sure that when you check your owner's manual, I know it sounds crazy, I got a million things to do. You want me to check my owner's manual? Yeah,
absolutely.
You really should. And check and see if when you do your underhood look over, and this is the time of year to do it, just before the winter comes up, this is a good time to make sure if your car doesn't have a dipstick, go and check when is the service interval, right?
If you sit down with a cup of coffee on a Saturday morning and you read your owner's manual, you're going to have a lot of aha moments. I didn't know that, and I didn't know I should have done that 6 months ago.
Oh, wow.
And maybe that's why my car isn't running right. So I can't stress enough. The owner's manual is a really good piece of information. Just take a half an hour, read through it. You'll learn a lot. And your car will last longer.
I totally agree. It's something that is not going to go away. And Joe, I hear the rumor is the next thing that's going to come up missing out of your car is the radio.
That's what I heard.
Radios are big. They're hard to package. In some cars, they're always different. A car manufacturer could have 6, 7 different radios, depending on how the application is. It's costly. Your car gets broken into, and sometimes they steal the radio, or they think that with today's electronics and smartphones and the way we download things on MP3 players, a chip or two, a memory stick inside there, you load in your own music, or you have a small tuner, and it'll be the size of a flash drive. You don't need the weight, the cost, and the hassle of radio. But I don't know about you. Would you want your radio to come up missing? I like my radio. In fact, did you know that in my '77 Mustang, I've got an 8-track player?
Wow.
And did you know, folks, I have an 8-track? Because, I was once told, well, these 8-tracks are the hottest things going. And when the cassettes came out, I said, oh, no, why did you do that? And then when these things called CDs got rid of cassettes, we had drawers of cassettes. And then when the CDs now are being replaced by MP3s and flash drives, and you're plugging in your iPad and iPod.
But that's where it is. I mean, there'll be no need for a radio. You have iHeartRadio now, which you can listen to your local radio station all over the nation.
Yeah.
And so I was looking at a 2014 Cadillac, the new CTS.
Wow.
And when you look at the cluster, it's not a real cluster. It is an LED of a speedometer. So there is no real needle. There is no real gasket. It looks like it is, but it's not. It doesn't exist. The part is gone. Wow. And soon, as they are testing self-driving cars, steering wheel, maybe, never know. Maybe have a spare in the trunk in case the system goes out. But
well, we'll stay on top of things for you folks here at Cars and Context. I really hope that the bottom line is that people don't lose the joy of driving. The things that they're familiar with, sometimes the simple things in life, sometimes the things we really reach for. But now, speaking of wonderful things, let's shift gears a little bit here and talk about one of my favorite parts of the show. This is the part of the show called Pride in My Ride. And this is when you, the viewer, can send us a photo of your car and give us the reason why you have pride in your ride. And what we'll do, Joe, is we'll put it on the air for everyone to share in your pride. And today, Joe, you have brought in a car that's not typical that we see on Pride My Ride, but something that this guy has so much pride in it. He wanted
Yeah.
to show us now, even though it's not technically on the road.
It's a work in progress. It's a 1976 F-250 Highboy Ford owned by Evan Wazorek of Lake Orion.
Wow.
It is a work in progress. He found this thing sitting in a field. It's been sitting there for 20 years. It was totally, rotted out, and he got it running and started restoring it. And what you see in the photo here, this is what's interesting. Wow. He gets the car running, but he can't leave well enough alone. And I will say in advance, the one good part about this story is he's a young guy. He might be 20 or so.
Yes.
He's a young guy in the hot rod business. He found this Cummins diesel with an Allison engine, took it out of a bus, and he's putting this
in the
diesel
truck?
in his F-250
Evan,
truck.
are you cool?
And it's like he's thinking out of the box.
Well, look at it. Actually, he's got it fit in there
he's
between
got
the frame. What else
custom mounts.
He's got a custom
Yep.
mount for it?
He's got the floors done. He's got that stuff ready.
Right now, but Joe, he stripped this truck right down to the bare metal.
Well, there was not much to the truck when he got it, so he didn't have a lot to strip.
Look at
it was a mess.
It's a body shell right now.
But I spoke to his dad yesterday, and is getting ready for paint. I'd like to revisit this when Evan gets done with the car, with the truck. But I just like the story that even though he got it running with the engine, he couldn't leave well enough alone. Typical hot rodder. What can I do, and what can I do unique on that car? Gee, I've got a Cummins diesel in a bus. I'm going to take that. I think I could figure it out.
Evan,
and he did.
I got to tell you,
job.
that is so cool. I am so proud of, especially the fact that you're a young guy. Usually stuff like this is for us guys that have been down the road a little
old
bit,
folks.
and we like to tinker. The fact that he is in his 20s,
It might be 20 at best. I don't know how old Evan is. He's a young guy
Evan,
in the hobby. Really
you're one of
big in the
us.
hobby.
You're one of us, and thank you for sharing that. I would like to see him come back to Cars and Context of Pride My Ride. Those
Maybe you
projects,
can show that finished.
I would love to see that. You're probably going to wind up seeing it on Woodward Avenue sometime, and the young guy driving that beautiful Ford truck. That's what it's all about.
That's what it is.
Folks, if you have Pride in My Ride, as you can see, even if it's a story that you don't have your car quite done yet, we've had a couple of those projects on here, go ahead and send it in. Send it to me, Jay Clor at carsandcontext.com. All you need is an explanation of why you have pride and a couple of JPEG photos that we can put on the air, and we'd be happy to share it with our viewing audience. That is such a cool thing, but there's even a cooler thing.
What's that?
The best part to me.
I know.
Well, I mean, a lot of people don't realize the best part of our show is when we ask Lauren Parrott here at WMTV, is there a viewer mail this week, Lauren? And Lauren always usually says,
yes, Jeff.
there is.
I'm so glad.
Oh,
Thank you.
You did it again, Lauren.
Always a viewer.
Well, thanks for sending this in, folks, and thank you,
So we
Lauren.
know at least 2 people are watching.
That's a thank you. Yeah, we got 2 here. I
Thank you,
really
Lauren.
appreciate that. Now, Joe, why don't you take this first one?
Oh yeah, this one comes from Greg Z in Grosse Pointe Farms, who watches Cars in Context on ATTU Verse Channel 99.
Okay.
I love your show, and I'm especially fascinated with the Packard plant.
yeah.
Oh wow, who isn't?
Yeah.
Will you be doing another show about the place anytime soon? Would be cool to hear what you think about that. What a buyer can do with it. Well, interesting. It just went for auction. And there
we
was
saw the
there were
summer
2
thing when
almost buyers. There was a buyer.
Nobody bought it for the million in taxes, so it went
Right.
free. Then it went to auction. And what was this crazy thing that
Some doctor in Texas bid $6 million, and we thought it was sold to this doctor who had his plans, and then we find out
Makes no
something's not
sense.
quite right with this.
Yeah, well, why
group.
would you not pay the million in taxes and then wait until you have to pay $6 million?
Yeah, exactly. And so they canceled that contract, and I read this morning a gentleman from, oh my gosh, is it Argentina, I think.
Oh, okay.
Has bid $2 million.
$2 million. Well,
Now, the good thing with him is he has kind of deep pockets. He's a developer. And most importantly, it's that he sees the historic significance of the buildings and wants to keep as many of the buildings as he can.
oh, has he
I
seen
don't know
the
how he's going to
Packard
do
plant?
it. Yeah, I hope he has. I hope he can keep some of the plant, perhaps for a little Packard museum would be great. But anyway, it's apparently been sold, or is going to be sold to this gentleman, and we have big hopes for it.
Folks, there's been so many stops and starts and ups and downs with the history of this facility. And if you're from the east side and you've gone down the Grand Boulevard there and get off at Mount Elliott and drive past it and you try to drive underneath it, it's part of Detroit lore now. They have something they call ruin porn, where they like to see the ruins of great manufacturing cities. I know people in Cleveland and people all over the world come to the Packard
From
plant.
all over the world.
And they like to see this. It's like this ruin. It's been people have died there. Murderers have left bodies there. People are from all over the world go there and pick through it, and they have been mugged. It's not pretty. It's
not.
the fires have been there. The Detroit Fire Department just quit going there to put fires out. People have used it as a dumping ground for
Everything.
Yeah, I mean,
Everything is there. But maybe we can do a little remote from it.
You know,
keep our doors
folks,
locked,
if you
but maybe we
want
can do that.
us, you can call the War Memorial. If you think Cars and Context could take the team, yes, Lauren, you're going to go too. Jeremy and Kermit will all go down to the Packard plant, and we could do some live remote. If you'd like to go see
What's
what
left?
we're talking about, what's left, and we'll go down there and we'll try to
That'd be
make sure
great.
it's a nice time of the day. But we'd like to go down. If you want us to do that, send a note to us. Call the War Memorial or send a note to me, Jay Clor at Cars and Context, and we'll be sure to give it a shot. We're watching too. We want that place to be cool.
We do. We do.
Not that it's
I
not
wish
cool.
the best for this gentleman. I do hope it gets transformed.
Well, you not only got a really cool viewer mail question, but I've got one.
What is it?
It says, John, now this one comes to us from Mike R. of Grosse Pointe Farms, and he watches Cars and Context on Comcast Channel 915. You can also watch it on Channel 5 if you don't want to see the HD. Not that we're not pretty enough. But it says, Dear John, do you plan on doing a show about common repair shop ripoffs? Mike R. of Grosse Pointe Farms apparently has had a repair shop that he's not really happy with and thinks that some repair shops are what would you call unscrupulous.
Oh, many of them.
I would. So, Joe,
It's harder to find a good one than a bad one.
do you think, folks, that Joe, we have, I don't know if you guys know this, but Joe teaches a class a lot about car repair 101. The more you know about car repair, and even if you just watch us every week and get a car repair show under your belt, the more you'll be armed with knowledge. I tell you about that every day, and the less likely, I think, Joe, you could be ripped off.
And the more money you'll save, which is a great thing.
So then what you're saying is the answer is yes, we will, you and I will.
We can do it. Absolutely. Be happy to.
Okay, now, we're not going to be calling out any of your specific places of business, but we will tell you that it's unfortunate. Cars are expensive, repairs are expensive. So, yeah, I think the best way to fight this, Mike, is to arm yourself with a lot of consumer knowledge. You'll know the minute you walk into a repair shop whether it's someplace you want to do business with, from what we'll tell you. And then, yes, I think we can impart this. That was really
Sounds
a great question. And if you have a question that you'd like to hear answered or on the air, or a suggestion about a show topic like we've got today, send it in. Call the War Memorial or send a note to me, Jay Clor, at carsandcontext.com, and we'll be sure to put it on the air. Joe, another great show. Appreciate you coming by.
My pleasure, John.
We can
Always
still
enjoy
read
it.
your stuff on automotivetraveler.com. You'll see you on Cars and Context TV on our YouTube channel to see all the great past episodes that we've done here at WMTV.
We'll be syndicated one of these days.
Yeah, well, that's right. So we remember
You never know.
remember our roots on WMTV. We want you to be part of it too, and we really appreciate you tuning in. Remember until next time that knowledge is power. I've been your host, John Clor. Thanks for watching.